Today, we're honoring the champions, the best-selling tractors of all time, the machines that sold in the hundreds of thousands because folks trusted them, loved them, and worked them till the paint wore clean off. These are the tractors that put food on tables, paid off mortgages, and turned horse farms into machine farms all across America and around the globe. Now let me tell you how I'm ranking these, folks. It comes down to how many of each one found a home. The machines that sold so well, they turned up on farms in every corner of the country and half the world besides. And when a tractor sells in the hundreds of thousands, that ain't luck, and that ain't slick advertising. That's a whole lot of farmers spread across a whole lot of years and a whole lot of countries, all reaching the same conclusion with their own hard-earned dollars. That kind of vote don't lie. We're going to count them down from number 12 all the way to the single best-selling tractor ever built. And I promise you, folks, that number 1 will surprise a few of you young fellas. So settle in close and let's give these old workhorses their due. Number 12, Massey Ferguson 165. We'll start our list with a tractor that earned its keep on damn near every continent, the Massey Ferguson 165. Somewhere between 120 and 130,000 of these rolled out the factory doors. And once you've run one, you understand why. She was a 60-horse machine with a Perkins diesel under the hood. And that engine, folks, was a thing of beauty. Sipped fuel like a gentleman and kept on running long after lesser motors had given up the ghost. The 165 kept things simple, plain, honest mechanical design, nothing fancy to break, nothing a man couldn't fix in his own barn with a wrench and a little patience. She was strong enough for plowing, mowing, and hauling, but cheap enough to run that a small operator didn't have to think twice. That's why you'd find her working hard across Europe, all over Africa, and in developing countries where a tractor had to earn its living every single day with no dealer around the corner. A versatile, dependable friend to the working farmer, and a fine way to start our countdown. Number 11, John Deere 4430. Now here's a green one the big operators still talk about with a gleam in their eye, the John Deere 4430. Built through the 1970s, she sold somewhere between 130 and 140,000 units, and she did it by pairing big horsepower with the kind of reliability Deere hung its whole name on. But here's what set her apart, folks, that sound guard cab. Before her, a lot of tractor work meant sitting out in the sun, the dust, and the racket all day long till your ears rang and your back ached. The 4430 gave a man a real cab, quieter, cleaner, easier on the body through them long days in the field. Folks who'd never known such comfort didn't want to go back. Under the hood sat a stout 6-cylinder engine, and behind it, that dependable power shift transmission that lets you change gears on the go without breaking stride. She could handle demanding field work, sun up to sundown, and keep the operator comfortable the whole while. That's a rare combination, and it's why the 4430 earned a place in farm history and on this list. Number 10, Ford 3000. Coming in at number 10 is a tractor that got so much right by not trying to do too much, the Ford 3000. Between 170 and 180,000 of them found homes, and the reason is about as simple as farming gets. She hit the sweet spot. The 3000 gave a fella just the right balance of size, power, and price. Not too big, not too small, not too dear on the wallet. You could get her with a gasoline engine or a diesel, whichever suited your ways and your fuel bill. And she was easy to look after. Nothing on her. A working farmer couldn't service himself without calling for help. That's exactly why the small and mid-sized farms took to her the way they did. She could tackle just about every daily chore on the place, the plowing, the loader work, the hauling, without asking you to mortgage the barn to buy her. A sensible, honest, hard-working machine, and there's real beauty in a tool that just does its job without any fuss. You know, folks, there's a lesson in the 3000, and it's one the young fellas chasing horsepower would do well to hear. A tractor don't have to be the biggest or the loudest to be the best. Sometimes the machine that wins is the one that fits your farm just right, the one you can afford to buy, and afford to keep. The Ford 3000 understood that better than most, and hundreds of thousands of farmers thanked her for it. Now, before we roll on to number 9, folks, do an old man a small kindness. If you're enjoying this trip down memory lane, go on and hit that subscribe button. Costs you nothing, not a red cent, and it tells me to keep digging up these stories. All right, let's get back to the countdown. Number 9, Massey Ferguson 35. At number 9, we've got a machine that took a good idea and made it better. The Massey Ferguson 35. Between 180 and 200,000 of these were built, and she owed her success to the legend that came before her, the little Ferguson TE20 we'll get to later on. The 35 took everything folks loved about that famous gray Fergie and added more comfort, more reliability, and a fine, efficient Perkins diesel that made every drop of fuel count. But what really made her sing was that 3-point hitch. Harry Ferguson's system let a man hook up a plow or a mower and control it with a precision nobody had ever known before, lifting and lowering smooth as you please. Farmers valued her low fuel appetite and her willingness to work with just about any implement you could bolt on behind her. She became a bestseller across Europe, all over Australia, and throughout the Commonwealth countries, a refined, dependable workhorse that took a great tractor and made it greater still. Number 8, John Deere 402. Now, folks, we've reached a machine that a whole lot of old-timers will tell you is the finest tractor ever built, the John Deere 402. About 184,000 of them came off the line starting in 1963, and more than 60 years on, plenty are still out there earning a paycheck. The 4020 just got everything right. The horsepower a growing farm needed, the durability to run for decades, and technology that was way ahead of its time, including that optional power shift transmission that lets you shift clutch-free right under load. She was comfortable to run. She started when you asked her to, and she pulled like a mule that never got tired. And here's the real testament, folks. A 4020 in good shape holds its value like almost nothing else in the farm world. A man can buy one today, work it hard, and sell it years later for near what he paid. You don't get that from a machine unless it's truly special, and the 4020 surely is. If you're keeping score, this here's one of the greatest ever made. Number 7, Farmall M. Rolling into number 7 is a red one that helped build American agriculture as we know it, the Farmall M. Around 270,000 of these sold, making her one of International Harvester's biggest triumphs ever. The M brought real muscle to the field, considerably more power than the smaller tractors of her day, but she did it without getting complicated. Simple, rugged, honest engineering, the kind you could count on season after season. That extra grunt meant a farmer could pull bigger plows, wider cultivators, and heavier implements, getting more done in a day than he ever could behind a team of horses. And she was cheap to run and dependable as the sunrise, which is exactly what a working family needed. The Farmall M became a true cornerstone of farming across North America, a machine you'd find in barns from one coast to the other. When folks picture a classic American tractor, plenty of them are picturing that big red M, and for good reason. I'll tell you something else, folks. A whole lot of these M tractors are still out there turning dirt or standing proud at the county fair, 80 years on. Restored, repainted, cared for by folks who understand that they're keeping a piece of history alive. You don't see that kind of devotion for a machine that was merely good. You see it for a machine that was loved, and the Farmall M was surely that. Number 6, John Deere Model A. At number 6, folks, we go way back to a real legend, the John Deere Model A. Roughly 319,000 were built across a mighty long run from 1934 all the way to 1952, and that alone tells you how beloved she was. The Model A ran on Deere's famous 2-cylinder engine, the one that gave off that unmistakable popping sound. Old-timers called her the Johnny Popper, and you could hear one coming from clear across the valley. That engine wasn't just charming, it pulled strong and stubborn, dependable as gravity, and it kept the maintenance simple for a busy farmer with more work than daylight. She could turn her hand to just about any field task you set her to, and she asked for precious little care in return. A farmer could depend on that Model A to fire up every morning and give an honest day's work. 18 years in production, folks, and hundreds of thousands sold. You don't earn a run like that without winning hearts, and the Model A won plenty. We're getting into the real heavy hitters now, folks, so let me pause and ask you something. Which of these did your daddy or your granddaddy run? Drop it down in the comments. I'd truly love to hear it. And while you're at it, give this video a like. It costs you nothing, and it helps these old stories reach the next fella who'd love them. All right, on to the top 5. Number 5, Farmall H. Crackin'. The top 5 is another international great, the Farmall H, with somewhere around 390,000 units sold. That makes her one of the best-selling row crop tractors in the whole history of farming, and she earned every one of those sales. What folks loved about the H was her versatility. She wasn't the biggest or the flashiest, but by golly, she could do a little of everything and do it well. Cultivating, planting, hay work, general chores around the place, she took it all in stride. She sipped fuel sensibly. She was easy on the operator, and she was about as simple to run as a tractor gets. That's exactly what thousands upon thousands of family farms were looking for, folks. A reliable, affordable machine that could handle the whole spread without breaking the bank. Her dependable design meant decades of faithful service. And a whole lot of H tractors are still putting around today, cared for by folks who know a good thing when they've got one. A true workhorse of the American family farm. Number 4, Massey Ferguson 135. At number 4, we've got one of the most successful tractors ever to turn a wheel, the Massey Ferguson 135. Somewhere between 400 and 410,000 of these were built, and she became a trusted friend to farmers on every corner of the earth. The heart of her was that legendary Perkins diesel, an engine so good it's near passed into folklore. Fuel economy that made an accountant smile, and reliability that made a farmer sleep easy. The 135 kept her mechanics simple, so upkeep stayed cheap, and a man could fix most things himself. And she carried an outstanding hydraulic system that made implement work a joy. They built her in several countries and shipped her clean around the world, and everywhere she went, she earned the same reputation, a dependable workhorse for a farm of any size. Big operation or a few acres out back, the MF135 fit right in and got the job done. When you sell better than 400,000 of anything, folks, you've built something the world truly wanted, and Massey surely did. Number 3, Ferguson TE20. Now we reach the top 3, and number 3 is a tractor so beloved, she's got her own nickname, the Ferguson TE20, known the world over as the Little Gray Fergie. Between 500 and 520,000 were built, and folks, this little machine changed farming forever. You see, Harry Ferguson brought a real revolution with the TE20, and it was that 3-point hitch. Before her, hooking up an implement could be a dangerous, clumsy business, and a tractor could flip over backwards on a stubborn plow and kill a man dead. Ferguson's system fixed that, made it safer, gave the operator real control over his implements, lifting and setting them with precision. That invention alone saved lives, and near every tractor built since owes it a debt. She was compact, she was affordable, and she was easy enough that anybody could learn to run her. That gray Fergie put mechanized farming within reach of countless small farms across Europe, Australia, New Zealand, and beyond. She didn't just sell well, folks. She brought the modern age to the little farmer, and there's no honor in this history without tipping your hat to her. Number 2, Ford 8N. So close to the top, at number 2, sits one of the most successful single models ever produced, the Ford 8N. About 524,000 of these were built, and if you drive through American farm country today, you'll still spot them working and shining at shows. She came along right after the Second World War, just when a whole nation was ready to trade the horse for horsepower. The 8N carried an improved hydraulic system, that same 3-point hitch principle done Ford's way, and she was reliable affordable, and about as simple to repair as a machine could be. A farmer with a basic set of tools could keep her running near forever. And that, folks, is why she did something historic. The Ford 8N, more than about any other machine, helped replace the horse and mule on small and mid-sized farms all across North America. She was cheap enough that ordinary folks could finally afford to mechanize, and dependable enough that they never looked back. A true turning point in American agriculture, and just barely shy of our champion. Number 1, Fordson Model F. And here she is, folks, the best-selling tractor of all time, the one that started it all, the Fordson Model F. An estimated 750,000 of these were built, a number that near takes your breath away when you consider the era. She came out in 1917, and she was the world's first mass-produced tractor, built on Henry Ford's assembly line the very same way he built his automobiles. And that, folks, is what changed everything. Before the Fordson, a tractor was a big, costly, complicated beast that only a wealthy operation could dream of owning. Ford's methods drove that price down so far that an ordinary working farmer could finally afford one. She was simple, she was rugged, and she was dependable. And she sold clean across North America, Europe, Australia, and far beyond. The Fordson Model F took the horse off the farm and put the tractor in its place, not for the rich few, but for the common man. She paved the road for every machine that came after, including every last one on this list. She didn't just sell the most, folks. She opened the door to the whole modern age of farming. A fitting champion, if ever there was one. So there you have it, folks. The best-selling tractors of all time, from that dependable Massey Ferguson 165 all the way up to the mighty Fordson Model F that started the whole revolution. Every one of these machines earned its place the honest way by winning the trust of the folks who worked them day after day, season after season. These weren't just tractors. They were partners. They plowed the ground that fed families. They paid off the debts that kept farms alive. And they carried whole generations from the age of the horse into the age of the machine. When you see one of these old workhorses shining at a county fair, you tip your hat, because you're looking at a piece of history that fed the world. Now I'm curious, folks. Which of these champions did your family run, and which one do you reckon deserves the top spot? Drop it down in the comments. I read every last one. And if you enjoyed sitting a spell with these old legends, do an old man a kindness. Hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. Costs you nothing, and it keeps these stories alive for the next fella. Take care of yourselves out there, folks, and I'll see you next time.